What's going on, guys? Dottz Gaming here. Today I'm bringing you all my Melee Magicka Nightblade PvP builds for the ESO Scalebreaker patch. I'm calling this the Umbra build. So I have been loving Melee Magicka Nightblade recently. For those of you who don't know, my first character ever when I started playing ESO was a Melee Magblade, and a couple weeks ago I decided to turn my tank back into a Melee Magblade to see if I could, me being much more experienced at the game now, recreate my first character as a, as a much stronger version of what he used to be and actually pilot it really, really well. And this build turned out way better than I could have imagined. It is incredibly fun, really, really strong, good heals, good damage. It's very squishy, but as long as you use your movement properly and really choose and be picky about your engagements, this is a really, really strong build, and I've been really, really enjoying it. I know I'm going to get asked a lot about it. I know it's a dual wield build. Staff is, in my opinion, a little bit better, but I like to go with the dual wield because it gives you that, really nice raw base spell damage. But also it just really looks cool. It's really fun. And for me, it's a throwback to that original build I made. So I've been really, really enjoying the dual wield style, and it just looks cool and is a lot of fun. So if you want to use the staff, go ahead, but I'm choosing to play this with the melee weapons, and I am really, really enjoying it. Huge shout out to Nyassa for helping me put this build together. She was there for me. Me and her bounced ideas off each other. She kind of picked her brain a little bit about some stuff while I was putting the build together. So big thanks to her for helping me assemble this. But let's get right into the gear loadout. We're going to be starting with 2 pieces of Grothdar. So we have a line of Maximum Magicka, and you have a 10% chance to create lava pools around you whenever you deal damage, to deal 2450 flame damage to all enemies within 8 meters of you every second for 5 seconds, and this can occur once every 10 seconds. A very, very, very powerful ground dot that basically has you at the center. Just a really strong 2-piece set, plus the 1-piece bonus Max Magicka is very, very helpful for you. This is a Max Magicka damage build. That's where the majority of the damage comes from. And what's really cool about this set is if you're like trying to fight a Nightblade or something, you're trying to cloak away from you, the 2-piece here will help keep him at a cloak, which is incredibly helpful. If you don't like Grothdar, feel free to run Slime Crawl. That's another really, really good option. If you don't like the procking, while you're far away or something and being down, you could go ahead and use Slime Crawl. But I've been still really enjoying Grothdar. I find the proc to be very much worth it when I'm fighting somebody, so I've been really liking it. Our main 5-piece is going to be, I guess we have 2 5-pieces. So it's going to be Scalebreaker. So we have a line of spell damage, a line of weapon damage, stamina and magic recovery, as well as stamina and magicka. All good stuff for Melee Magblade. Melee Magblade kind of needs a little bit of everything here. You're in the fight. You're in the fray. So when you get in there, if something shitty is about to come your way, you're going to need to dodge roll. So having that stamina recovery, having that extra stamina pool is going to be incredibly helpful to you for survival. So I really, really like Scalebreaker. And plus, the spell damage, magic recovery, maximum magicka helps you on the offensive side of things, as well as the sustain. So in my opinion, Scalebreaker is just a really, really good 5-piece set for this build, especially when combined with Brightthroat's Boast. So 2 lines of maximum magicka, a line of magic recovery, and when you have a drink buff active, your max magicka is increased by 1930, and your magic recovery by 145. So this is Magicka Bone Pirate. It's just an incredibly good set. It gives you a lot of maximum magicka and a lot of magicka recovery. So between Brightthroat and Scalebreaker, you are able to get a very respectable 1823 magicka recovery. Now, I personally like to play my Melee Magblade on the higher side in terms of sustain, simply because if you run out of magicka and if you're not able to cloak and you're not able to use your shade, which I believe got a cost increase in Scalebreaker, if you're not able to use those things, you are going to die. Like, as you can see by our resistances, we have 11k spell resist and 9.5k physical resist. Our crit resist is still pretty good. We got 3k crit resist, but our resistances are very low. So if we get caught in the wrong situation, we're going to die. So I'd rather make sure that I have that extra sustain to make sure I'm able to get where I need to get when I want to get there. And so I do like to play with a sustain on the higher side. Plus, our spell damage is still pretty good with about 2,500 unbuffed spell damage with 42k maximum magic, and that's all unbuffed. So it's still very, very, very good damage pools, even with this nice bit of recovery. So in terms of our weapons, I already kind of went over why I'm using swords. Swords are very cool, so that's why I like them. For those of you who maybe are newer players and are like, Dottz, how can you possibly use a sword on a Magicka build? It's because of the Twin Blade and Bump passive. So each sword increases your damage done by 3%, so you get a 6% flat increase to your damage. Also, I believe swords do give you a bit higher just flat spell damage than you do get with a staff, I believe. So I just like that raw spell damage, and plus my main reason is just that it's very, I just think it looks cool. It's a very nice old play style. Dual wield Magicka used to be like really good and it was really fun. So for this build, because it was a very nostalgic build for me, I wanted to still go with it. And the dual wield is still very effective though. It's still very effective. And then I also would recommend putting 2 points into dual wield expert to make your light attacks slightly stronger, because it does increase the weapon damage of that offhand. So it just makes your damage a little bit stronger for when you're doing your light attack weaving. So in terms of enchants and everything, we're all impen, all maximum Magicka. Because we are an Imperial, we do get the bonuses to health and to stamina, so I don't need to use a single prismatic glyph. If you would like, I'm an Imperial because this guy used to be my tank. If you want to kind of go like an optimal race, you could go Dark Elf and then maybe just use like 3 prismatic enchants, and that should cover your health. But I'm just still an Imperial on this guy because it's what he was, and I didn't want to pay for the race change. We are using 2 spell damage glyphs, and I have 1 reduced cost glyph on my necklace. I've only played this guy in no CP this patch, and I've found that the reduced cost glyph is extremely necessary. It wasn't last patch, but I think some of the spell increases, the cost increases have made this glyph more necessary. So I would recommend just be on the safer side, and I do run this, but if you feel that you're over-sustaining, definitely sub this out for another spell damage enchant, but at the moment I am running 1 reduced cost on the neck. We have a flame damage enchant, a frost damage enchant, which is the Nirnhone and Sharpen. Why am I not running shock? That's because we already get minor vulnerability from our gap close, so I just went with the other magical element. And then on our back bar, we are using an infused weapon and spell damage glyph. And the reason we're using an infused is because you poke a lot from your back bar. You poke a lot from your back bar, so I want to have that infused weapon damage and spell damage glyph so that I can poke from my back bar, swap to my front bar, cloak, and go in and do my combo. So that is what we are using in terms of gear. In terms of skills, we are using Lotus Fan. Lotus Fan is our gap closer, gets minor vulnerability up, as well as puts a pretty solid dot on our target. Just a very good skill. It's a really strong gap closer now ever since this got that minor vulnerability. Concealed weapon, we are using this because we are a melee Magblade. I still would really like to see this buffed after all this time of me not playing melee Magblade. It's a shame that concealed hasn't really gotten any bit of a buff. I think I could just use something minor, even like either a small damage increase or a tiny cost decrease, just something to make it a little bit better. But still, I find it a really fun skill to use for melee Magblade. It just looks really cool. It stuns from stealth, and it increases your movement speed, so you have a pretty quick stealth. So while you're stealthing around, you do move at a pretty quick rate. So I do really like Concealed Weapon for that reason. But mainly, it's the melee spammable. We are using a Merciless Resolve with an over 20k unbuffed Merciless tooltip. So focuses your senses, reducing your damage taken by 2% with every light or heavy attack up to 5 times. And then while active, you hitting an enemy with 5 light or heavy attacks will convert this to Assassin's Will, dealing that 20k damage and healing you for 50% of the amount done. This is our big burst and the main part of our combo that I will be going over later. We also have Shadowy Disguise. Shadowy Disguise is our cloak. Not much to say about it. Your next damage attack will be used. Afterwards will be a critical strike. You need to cloak a lot. This is try to go with the high sustain and the reduced cost to make it so that I can cloak basically as much as I want, because that is our main source of defense. We're going to be bobbing in and out of cloak quite a lot. We also go with Mass Hysteria. This is our main CC outside of our ultimate, so I really recommend using this. I'm using Soul Tether as the primary ultimate on my build. So you basically ravage an enemy with a rune, doing 15.3k magic damage and stunning them for 4 seconds. Ravaged enemies are tethered to you for 8 seconds, and while they remain within 10 meters of you, you siphon 25-46 health from them every second, and then you get a synergy on an ally that they can basically deal damage and heal themselves for that damage caused. Now, people ask me all the time, Dottz, why are you using Soul Tether and not Soul Harvest? Now, the reason I use Tether is because you need a siphoning skill on your front bar in order to take advantage of... So I'm in the wrong tree. In order to take advantage of Magicka Flood, increase your maximum Magicka by 8% while a siphoning ability is slotted. If you were to slot Soul Harvest, you'd have to move Fear to your back bar and move Debilitate to your front bar. Now, that's all well and good, and you can run that, and I've seen people run it that way. But for me, I tried playing it that way, and it felt incredibly clunky. I really, really like having the Fear on my front bar, because if I'm in stealth, I want to just be able... You know, like, let's say I'm on my back bar and I'm peppering them with, you know, my debilitates and everything. I get my stacks up, right? I cloak and I gap close to them, because you want to make sure to gap close to get that minor vulnerability up. I want to be able to fear them out of that gap close. I want to be able to gap close to them and then fear. You know? I want to be able to do that. So For me, I really enjoy having Fear on the front bar, and because of that, I do have Soul Tether as my ultimate. Also, Soul Tether just hits really freaking hard, and it's an AoE. I've gotten like double or triple kills in BGs with this. I really, really enjoy it. So that is why I personally run Soul Tether. But again, if you can deal with it being like this, you can absolutely run it like this. You can run Debilitate front bar, take off Soul Tether, run Soul Harvest, and then just keep the Fear on the back bar. But for me, I personally dislike the Fear on the back bar for melee, and I like to keep it on my front bar. Back bar, we are using Debilitate. Debilitate is one of the dots that seems to have gotten buffed in this patch, and oh my god, this tooltip is nuts. 21k damage over 10 seconds, and reducing their movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds. And you also get minor Magicka Steal while dealing damage to that target. It just helps you sustain that much more. It's an incredibly good skill. Definitely recommend it. We're also using Siphoning Attacks again for more sustain. This helps us heal not only our helps us keep up not only our Magicka pool but also our health. Any bit of tick healing that we can get in today's metagame is extremely important. So I really, really like Siphoning Attacks for that reason. We are using Rapid Regen as our main heal for the build. I don't use a traditional burst heal on this build like Healing Ward or anything. I really like Rapid Regen as the main heal. So the main reason is that, let's say you're fighting somebody, right? You have your shade placed down and you're in here, you're fighting them or whatever, you're doing your thing. You can cloak your tether back, use the Rapid Regen and cloak. Now the cloak is not only going to suppress the dots that are on you, but will still allow this Rapid Regen to tick heal you back up. And, you know, if you use something like Healing Ward, the dots might tick away that Healing Ward. It will cause you to, you know, receive a smaller heal over time. I just really like Rapid Regen. It just feels really, really good this patch, especially, again, to counter all the dots that we're seeing. So I personally recommend this as your build's primary way of healing. We are also using Shadow Image. Shadow Image is really, really good. This is literally our main tool and why we're able to do all of the BS that we do, to be honest. Like I said, if we have the Shadow Image down, you know, and we're in here tussling with someone and things get scary, you just shade out into your stealth. It's just so good. It just allows us to do things that other classes can't do. You can use it on with Z-axis movement, and it's just incredibly strong. And it allows us to make a lot of ridiculous plays and do a lot of silly stuff. So I really, really like it. It also does a really respectable dot nowadays, and it also gives minor maim to that target. So it is just a very, very good skill all around. We also have Phantasmal Escape to give us major evasion to just help us take a little bit less damage from those AoE attacks, so that if we get caught in any AoE, we don't just get instantaneously melted. And then we also get our root and snare immunity from this for 4 seconds as well. So very, very good skill. I've tried Race Against Time here in the past, and it wasn't bad, but I really like having the 4 seconds from Phantasmal Escape over the 2 seconds from Race Against Time. If you want something more offensive, feel free to run Race Against Time, but from my experience, I think Phantasmal Escape worked a little bit better. We also have a Life Giver as our back bar ultimate. This is our oh shit cooldown. This just gives us a really powerful hot and will cast Rapid Regen, Combat Prayer, and Healing Ward for free. Be sure to morph these, okay? Be sure to morph these, because when you use Life Giver, it will cast the morphed forms, so be sure to morph these skills. Just like I said, this is our big oh shit defensive cooldown for when we are in trouble. In terms of our stats, like I said, we're sitting at 42k maximum Magicka. We are sitting at about 19k health, which I think puts us a little over 25k, somewhere over 25k inside of CP. We have 15k max stamp, 1823 Magicka recovery, 2484 unbuffed spell damage. We have 11.3k spell resist, 9.5k physical resistance, and 3k crit resist. We have the Apprentice Mundus Stone as well as the Witch Mother's Potent Brew buff food. And for our potion, we are using just regular old Essence of Spell Power, Major Sorcery, Major Prophecy, and Restore Our Magicka. This is where we are getting our sorcery from our potions, just because Magblade bars are traditionally very crammed full of stuff. So I had no way, you know, to really fit degen onto my bar. Granted, I could have put it in for Debilitate, and I could have run something else for potion-wise, but personally, I really prefer to run Debilitate. You gain more Magicka from it. So I like Debilitate for that reason. But if you can't afford the constant chugging of spell power pots, then I would recommend instead using Degeneration here and using a different potion that you want. So I'm pretty sure that covers us with all of that stuff. Okay, yeah, let's move into CP. So CP wise, we have 56 into Elfborn, 64 into Elemental Expert, 47 into Spell Erosion, 66 into Master at Arms, and 37 into Thaumaturge. That Debilitate dot is incredibly strong, incredibly strong. So being able to pump that debilitate dot up a little bit is really, really good. If you feel that this is pumped up a little bit too much, feel free to take points out of Thaumaturge, and you can pump up Master at Arms to probably about 81 and Elemental Expert up to 75. But I'm currently using this just because, like I said, the dots right now are just ticking for an insane amount. So being able to just really pump that up a lot just gives us that little bit of extra consistent pressure to make sure we're able to kill someone that much quicker. 56 into Ironclad, 54 into Resistant, 56 into Thick Skin, 43 into Hardy and Ellie Defender, and 18 into Bastion. I don't know why I have these points into Bastion, actually. These should be moved. Let me just double check my written guide to make sure that I still don't have these in there. Because if those are in here, you're going to want to move them somewhere else. Yes, I still accidentally have these in here. So you are going to want to move these. Let's do 11 to Quick Recovery. And we'll do 61 into Thick Skinned and 56 into Resistant, just simply because the dot... actually, no. Let's do 56 into Thick Skinned and 61 into Ironclad, because the direct damage smacks are going to be what kills you. Okay, 11 into Quick Recovery. 66 into Warlord. 75 into Arcanist. 43 into Tenacity. We are using a Resto Staff, so pulling up those big Resto Staff heavies is super nice. 66 into Tumbling, and 20 into Shadow Ward in case we do need to block anything. So in terms of our general rotation, you're obviously going to want to make sure to maintain Phantasmal Escape at all times for that major evasion. You're also going to want to maintain Merciless Resolve so that you could always be stacking that up. You're also going to want to maintain Shadow Image because without your Shadow Image, you're just literally dead meat, and you want to maintain Siphoning Attacks. So what you're going to do is from afar, you're going to light attack, debilitate your target. You're going to just light attack, debilitate, and just debilitate all of the targets that you're facing, and just really work on stacking up that Merciless Resolve. Then what you're going to do... That's when I'd say if you hit 3 or 4 stacks, you want to go into stealth, gap close to your target, and start light attack, concealed weapon weaving. When you want to go for your burst, you can simply hit him with the fear. And then you can do, depends on what, what your situation is. You could either do Soul Tether if you have it up, followed by Merciless Resolve. Or if you don't have Soul Tether up, you can go straight into Merciless Resolve. You can also, if you're coming out of stealth, go right into the Tether followed by the Merciless Resolve. You're just going to want to use some, a specific combo of a CC followed by one of your burst tools, basically. That's going to be your general combo there. Or again, let's say you're coming out of stealth, you could always Concealed Weapon. If you haven't Concealed Weapon anybody into your Merciless Resolve, you could also Concealed Weapon into your Soul Tether into Merciless Resolve. There's just a lot of different combos that you can use on that front bar, but basically your goal is to CC them and then burst, just because you obviously don't want your burst to be dodged or to miss. But you want to make sure you are using Lotus Fan. You want to use Lotus Fan. I know in the past, if you're an old school player, Lotus Fan was literally just a way to get you to your target, but now it does put up that minor vulnerability, which is a pretty solid increase to your damage. 8% is nothing to sneeze at, so you really want to make sure that you have that up so that your burst deals that much more damage. Defensively, assuming if you're in here getting CC'd or something, you're gonna want to obviously use Phantasmal Escape to get yourself out, and then you're going to want to, like I said, tether back and just go into your cloak. You need to play mind games with your cloak. You don't want people to know where you are. But I'm telling you, man, with the power of Shadow Image and the power of Cloak, as well as Rapid Regeneration, even with a build this squishy, you're able to get out of a lot. Obviously, if you put yourself in a really bad situation, you have 11.3 and 9.5k on buff resistances. You're going to die. Buffed up, it's 16.6 and 14.8, but still very, very low. So, you need to be careful of what kind of situations you put yourself in, because if you do put yourself in a crappy situation, you will get caught. But that's pretty much it, guys. That is my Umbra build, Melee Magicka Nightblade. Let me tell you, it makes me really, really happy that this build is super, it's viable now. It's fun. It's actually, one of the most fun builds I've had playing this patch. It's just really enjoyable. That's kind of I feel like been the theme for me this patch, is that I've either really, really loved playing some of my character, or I've really, really loathed playing my certain characters. And I just think that's kind of a symptom of the Scalebreaker patch, but we'll have to see how things continue. But I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay footage after this video. If you guys like this, please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. If you like this, smack a like on it, obviously. And then for more good ESO content, please hit that sub button as well as hit the bell to keep notifications on. So yeah, like I said, gameplay footage wasn't perfect. There were a couple mistakes that I made. Like I said, be sure to listen to that blurb at the end. But overall, pretty solid game, just so I can demonstrate the build and what you're going to be wanting to do and what you can expect. So thank you guys for watching. I very much appreciate it. And I'll see everybody in the next one.
ain't no stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star.
Didn't even get to cross.
I said I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get a glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shoot, yeah, shoot, yeah, shooting, yeah, shooting shots. Shooting stars, shooting stars, shooting stars, shooting stars.
Didn't even get to cross.
I said I'm moving too far. Get to glass.